the garden of good vibes we gather round, sipping our wisdom, let the joy surround. From mindfulness to self-care, we're on a journey, navigating life with love and serenity.
Hey y'all, welcome to the first ever recording of the Sips of Eden podcast. This podcast is a wellness podcast, and we like to discuss with individuals how they get their fill of wellness while living such busy lives, especially in 2024. Today we have a special show for you. We have Shay here with Agile Body Work, and her word for the new year is intention. And I believe this episode is all about intention and living your year with more intention. Tune in.
Sips of Eden, let your spirit sigh. Soothe your soul, let your worries fly. Sips of Eden, taste the sweet divine. Find your balance, let your light shine.
Okay, so Shay.
Yes.
Tell us about Agile Body Work. Is that what it is?
Yes,
Tell me
it
what it is.
All right. So back in 2009, I decided to take a little pause from my 15-year career in IT, go to massage school. I wanted to get into health and wellness in some way, shape, or form. Massage seemed like a really intriguing way for me to dip my toes in those waters.
Sure.
But the salary of IT kept luring me back to IT. And years went by. It got to be 2020 or so, and I've done just about everything under the sun in my over 2 decades in IT, and decided I was sore, I was miserable, I was sick of dealing with all the problems that are caused by keyboards, and realized I wanted to get back down to basics and try to help people recover from what the keyboard did to them, right? Okay. And so I've always been a huge ergonomics nerd, movement, muscle, kinesiology, all that good jazz.
For sure.
So I decided I could return to massage school, become fully licensed here in the state of Michigan. And as one of my failed-ditch efforts to try to stay in IT, I became a Scrum Master and started really tooling my career to be more project management oriented, which put me in the chair of several Agile project management projects. And so I found myself using those project management skills more towards health and wellness than I did actually in IT. Okay. And so it was a weird intersection in my life where it was okay, well, massage, IT, Agile Body Work. Yep. And so that's kind of how I got here.
That's awesome. And how long does massage therapy, college classes go for? How long does it take?
It's traditionally about a 1-year program. Awesome. And then you go through a state licensure. There's usually takes people 3 to 5 months to study for that. Sure. But it's a relatively quick turnaround to insert yourself into a wildly happy field.
Well, awesome. How you said a test at the end. I'm not a big test taker. So how about you? So how'd that studying process go for you?
I was a wee bit cocky coming out of school, as it was my 3rd time through massage school, and I'd been studying kinesiology like a fiend for over a decade. So I figured it would be no big deal, right? So I sat there with my study guides and practice tests and everything, and I was all hyped up to go, and I sat for the test. It was right here downtown Grand Rapids. Sat for the test, and all of the questions were modeled in a way that if you answered one question wrong, then it would continue to pick questions out of that bucket and present them to you in increasingly harder fashion. And I found out at question 77 or so of 100 that I didn't feel confident in any of my answers. I felt completely devastated, and all this work was all for naught, you know?
Yeah.
And I was convinced that I was dumb. I was small. I'm not a good test taker either, because I sit there in that self-deprecating space. Why am I even here?
Why am I doing this?
And it's super funny because when I finished the test, walked up to the front, and they handed me a piece of paper with my face on it, because they take a picture. Yeah. It had my face and the word pass across the top. I took the piece of paper into the bathroom, ran in there, threw up everywhere. Just barfed. And there was a lady that worked in the building, and she was in there. She's like, "Oh my gosh, dear, are you okay?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, I passed. I'm so sorry. That was disgusting, but I passed. I did it. I've been trying to do this since 2009, and I did it. And she's like, oh, what test did you take? And I'm like, well, I'm a licensed massage therapist now. And she's like, oh, do you have a card? And she was one of my first 5 clients.
Awesome. Isn't that awesome how like that like turn on works on everything?
Right.
Like,
So I've kind of grown in my career. I no longer have to barf on people to gain clientele.
Yes.
So I rely more on SEO and stuff than, bodily function.
Logistics and everything. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Isn't that so awesome how that world works? Just everything comes together.
It does.
Especially when, like, it's like that saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears, and then, like, you were ready. Life gave you everything you needed right then and there. You passed the test, and it's like, hey, here's a client,
Yeah.
Now just get going.
Just keep going. A little boost for your confidence.
Yeah.
That's so awesome. I love hearing stories like that. Where it's like, yep, and then this happened. You're like, that kind of gives you that nod, like, you're going in the right direction. Just keep going. Keep pushing it. Yeah. I love that. Love that. Awesome. So it's a new year, 2024. Do you have any New Year resolutions or anything crazy going on, or no?
I decided to kick New Year's resolutions out of my brain space early on in the whole process of transitioning into 2024, and I decided instead of, committing to New Year, New Me, I would commit to a word.
I love it.
And so I set my word of the year, and it's intention. And what that means to me is, instead of, just kind of going with the flow and accepting what comes to me, when I throw up in public, just go ahead and put it out in the universe.
Yeah.
Like, I intend to gain XYZ dream clients via and formulating those intentions very clearly before I start jumping into action. I actually have a whole journal dedicated to this. For the first half, I sit down with my morning Eden Cafe chai, what have you, and jot down a few things that I feel like I, quote, should be doing.
For sure.
And then drilling down to what I intend to do with my time that I have available this day, week, month, what have you. And once I've clearly documented that, flipping to the back of the journal where I have a bookmark that starts my action sector. And before I can start thinking about the actions I need to put into the intention, I can actually transition that. So I've fully committed to intention as my word of 2024, and on the flip side, I also commit to creating more balance in my life. Because, as business owners, we both know, all of us know, that it's real easy to let this take over all of this.
Your entire life,
Yep.
And, just committing to acting fully with my intentions behind, there's a wind in my sails kind of.
Yeah, for sure.
And then just being very mindful of keeping that nice little consistent balance between family, spirituality, dedicating time to my health and wellness, mental, all that good jazz.
I love that.
That's
super awesome. I love that, the identity aspect. That's a bar. I kind of like that, how you went through that, and it was like, hey, I'm gonna be intentional about my day. Cause we all make a list to do, and then we're like, oh, I gotta get through all this, but it's not even realistic. Cause then you're like, what are some action steps I can go through, and what can I realistically get done today? I can get these 5 things. I'm gonna get these 3 things done for sure, and these are the action steps I'm gonna take to get that stuff done. That kind of how is that the best way to go about it?
Exactly.
I like that.
Just kind of piecemealing it together and incrementally attacking it instead of feeling like you're standing under a waterfall of nonsense, right?
I'm writing that down.
This is Jim's. I recently had a conversation with somebody because, again, achieving your goals, you can be such a large goal you're trying to tackle, and it can be very ambitious. But in doing so, there's small actions that you can take that are going to move you towards that goal. What are those small actions? And if you add intention behind everything that you're doing before you take the action, you're not wasting any energy on things that don't matter.
Yeah.
And
you always know why you're doing it. That was the thing I struggled with last year so much. I knew I should be at these networking events. I should be putting myself out there. I should write blogs. I should do social media. All the shouldas nearly killed me last year because there was no feeling of, oh, I'm doing this because,
Sure.
and now I'm forcing myself to stew in that, like,
Yeah.
and realize, oh, I'm doing this because this is how I'm a good example, for my kid, even, like,
100%. Yeah.
I like that. Yeah.
I love that. Like, that kind of goes, I built this framework I call the 4-step plan to achieve success. And I'm just hearing you basically say what that framework is to me.
That's so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love being in that echo chamber of sorts where it's like, you know what, maybe I'm not full of shit.
Right. I know what I'm actually talking about.
Right?
Yes.
Because as you said, you have the intention first, and then you're able to then see the difference between where you are right now and where you'd like to go. So then you're able to connect the reason for the action you're doing with everything you're doing, and then you're going to get feedback in real time that tells you what you can do differently, and you just navigate with that over and over. You will achieve your success if you just continue down that path.
That makes sense.
And that it's really hard when you're caught up in the mundane. And that it's really hard stay attached to those other pillars of wellness when they're not in front of you all the time. And so just kind of like standing there and being like, am I filling all of my silos, my pillars, whatever.
Pillars, buckets, or whatever.
Like,
Yeah.
and if I feel off, like, which one of these have I not looked at today?
Which one of these have I not
So it's
looked
just a
at
constant
today?
check-in, a constant relationship.
So it's
those
just a constant
pieces
check-in,
and parts of
constant
myself
relationship.
that
Those pieces
that
and
help me
parts of
achieve that
myself
balance.
that-
Am I answering?
Yeah, I love that.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Am
I think that
I
really makes some
answering?
sense.
Okay.
I'm just taking notes.
Tyler's over here breaking his food right into
I know.
So I love it. Over here
Because it reminds me, again, everything you're saying, I'm hearing things I've said in previous conversations with people. I love it, 1000%. And I'm like, through the mundane, we often forget about our goals, which is why we gotta have like reminders and these things that like a talisman, something that just keeps you back on track when you start to fall off. Because it can be so easy to be like, all right, I'm going to work to pay these bills. These bills are going to come all the time. And you start getting into a mindset of go to work, pay the bills, and that's it. But intention, I'm just doing this job to do this, but that's not all there is. There's more. And so with that in mind, and you continue to come back to that, that's now the side thing, and you're building towards something else. And you don't get stuck in that like negative loop where you're just like, I'm just doing the thing.
Just the day to day.
Yeah. And so just loving to hear that. And so how do you remind yourself of like when you get into that like a mundane like rut to get out of it?
To remind myself to come back to center.
Yeah.
Myself to come back.
By golly,
to
it's a great
center.
question.
I
I don't know, man. I guess after 40 plus years of feeling lost, feeling like I'm a product of my environment as opposed to like an independent, what's the word I'm looking for? Autonomous being.
Autonomous being, yeah.
What's the word I'm looking for?
Like,
Autonomous
when
being.
I experience
And,
those feelings, like I'm not
when I experience
on
those
point,
feelings, like
and
I'm
I
not
need to like realign my sails,
Yeah.
whatever. I need to realign the ship back to my goal or whatever,
I
and
need to
shove it back
realign the
off.
ship
It's
back to my
like
goal or whatever and shove it back
it's
off.
just
It's
my
like,
I had to take a deep breath and reconnect to who I am, and remind myself that I'm not just
reconnect to who I am,
you know,
and remind myself that
flying
I'm
around
not just
here. I have control over everything I do.
Here. I have control over everything
And using
I
myself
do.
as a touchstone. Like if I feel
And
off,
using
I
myself
know
as
I
a
have to like
touchstone.
open
Like
my
if I
eyes and
feel
get back on
off, I
track.
know I have to like open my eyes.
I like the
and get
empowering
back on
statement.
track.
I have control.
I do.
Yeah. That in general, I feel like a lot of people forget about the control that they do have
Exactly.
over any action that they have in their day.
Especially like how you said the product of your environment, because you have the control of being an autonomous being of your own world, right? And so in this world that we're living in, we're thinking, I'm just going through the motions, right? You know, but you're like, no, I am doing what I need to do. I want to do. I am in control. I'm not just product of the world, product of my environment, because just being autonomous and taking everything that you're pouring into you, you can become yourself, right? That's good.
That's Sips of Eden right there. Cheers.
I love that.
Cheers. I love it. I love it.
That's so cool. And so, like, for me, I find myself negating a lot of the pillars of wellness in my day to days because of just the activities that I'm constantly doing. I feel like my physical, I'd have to say my spiritual kind of runs dry in my personal sense. What kind of runs dry maybe in like your sense? Like what maybe like you find yourself constantly like reminding yourself to like get back on the train.
Oh my goodness, physical is definitely a number one for me because I'm in a very like physical role. Being a massage therapist, I'm on my feet constantly. I'm putting in the work. I'm lifting limbs. I'm cranking legs. I'm throwing elbows. You know, I'm in constant motion in this work.
I'm in constant
But that
motion
also
in
makes
this
me
work.
makes it even more important
But
for
that
me to
also
maintain a
makes
certain
me-
level of
makes it
physical
even more
fitness,
important for me
exercising
to
the things that I
maintain a
don't
certain
use in my
level of
everyday to
physical
make sure I
fitness,
maintain that
exercising the
balance,
things that I
right?
don't use in my everyday
And
to make sure I
so
maintain
physical
that
is a
balance, right?
huge problem for me. And like spirituality has always been a huge struggle for me because I don't really have words to wrap around what spirituality means to me. I just know in this moment, this is what magic I hold on to and cling to and I'm grateful for. And
I hold on
you
to
know,
and
it's
cling to and I'm grateful
you know, it's kind of weird being in an unconventional spiritual mindset compared to like a lot of my neighbors in the West Michigan area.
For sure.
A lot of my neighbors in the West Michigan area.
So I don't know. I just kind of struggle with what that looks like. And am I doing this right? You know, and having that constant self-doubt.
Having that constant self-doubt.
Yeah.
I like what you said about the spiritual aspect of gratitude. I think there's a lot of power in being grateful and showing gratitude. I find myself when I'm under the pressure of rut, I kind of go to myself and say, I'm thankful for that I have food. I'm thankful I have air. I'm thankful I have a car. I'm thankful I have clothes. And then I start to see like the retro frame where I'm at. Okay, things are not that bad right now.
Right.
And I find myself that like gratitude. I think I was watching a show also that they really highlighted how gratitude is something that's very big in like understanding like where you are, where you stand. I understand you can have very minimum, you can have a lot, but understanding like what you have, you make what you have and go with it, right? And just being grateful for it. I find that to be really impactful.
When you were talking about gratitude, one thing that I think about a lot is when we feel like these negative emotions, we're not recognizing what blessings we have a lot of the times.
It's
We're
taking
off.
up unnecessary space.
Yeah.
Put
We're
blinders on all the excellence you have around you.
you're focused on usually lack. And that is the
Scarcity will
difference.
kill you, man.
100%.
That's what the world feeds us, though.
They do.
All
They
time.
try to sell you on dreams that you don't have, so then you pursue their ideal for yourself, rather than realizing the control you have over your life.
Mm-hmm.
And that just right there, expressing gratitude for the things you have, realizing what you have, and then you're able to create a clear vision for what you want. That's it. Because these other visions sold to you is someone else's vision to get you to buy what they want.
Yeah. Let me fill this hole with these new shoes.
Right.
Right.
Let me fill this hole with these new shoes.
Right. Now you get the shoes. What are you gonna do with them? I
Exactly.
think that's something that you really highlighted. Is like now you have this extra income or extra job or this thing. Okay, what's the intentionality about it? Kind of goes back into that sense. I remember you keep on telling me that, and so
yeah, especially a lot of my buddies, they're like, I'm gonna get another job, jump from job to job for different income reasons or whatever. What are you doing with the extra dollars that you're bringing in?
Wow.
Is it planned? What's the point? You're going to be in the same situation in a slightly bigger boat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's it.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It took me thousands and thousands of dollars of therapy to realize that.
Oh, really?
So congratulations.
Hey. I listen to a lot of audiobooks.
Yes. Man, my 20s would have been much better if I would have fallen down that boat.
And so, what obstacle, physical and mental, has been most impactful in your pursuit of, like, I guess, success in your own way, or forming Agile, or whatever you see? Like, what Agile and on your pursuit of entrepreneurship? Like, what physical or mental obstacles have been? I guess, Tyler, what's the best way to ask this question?
No, I like this
You like this question? Okay, yeah.
I'll go with it.
Okay, you got it. Okay.
So one of the mental barriers that I have as a human, and actually I just wrote this in my first blog article on my website last night.
Perfect.
Something to the effect of it's really difficult to convince the bees to go back in the hive when you're still kicking it. And what that was addressing my inability to take a very simple concept like I need to improve SEO. I need to create keywords, very succinct, very like start-end tasks that are very easy. Logical brain knows these things, but I keep kicking the hive. You know? And it's like instead of just doing the things that will fill that need, I'm like, well, surely I can do this better. You know, it's like better. So that's my biggest mental barrier is knowing when to stop overthinking and just initiate doing. And if I'm having a problem with initiating, doing, coming back and questioning, is this really should I? You know,
I like it. Kind of goes back to the intentionality thing.
I was gonna say that was the backbone of why I picked intentionality as my mantra. Yeah, stop kicking the. You can't convince the bees to go back in the hive until you stop kicking it.
I like that. No, that makes sense.
Yeah. I was listening, logical brain. I wrote down some terms like logical brain versus overthinking brain, because I feel like a lot of people, they feel that overthinking, like, if it inhibits your action, then it's a bad thing. But overthinking in general maybe is not a bad thing. It shows you have a lot of perspective on the topic. And if you're able to have a lot of perspective on the topic, you can have a lot of insight. That can move you in a general direction. But as long as you were saying, it doesn't inhibit your action. So if you're moving forward and you have all these thoughts and they're all over the place, maybe write them down, because they might all be useful data points. Sure. But it doesn't necessarily mean like get stuck on the fact that you have all this stuff. Put it down, tackle it one at a time, do something that you can do with it step by step. The step portion to reach your goal, right?
Right. And it's amazing, like just the power of acknowledging a thought. Like it's like that no longer bothers me. It's like you may not do anything with that particular point, but you wrote it down. You acknowledged it. I don't know. I just love filling that cup of self-worth. Sorry.
No, you're good. And to like put it out to eat there, then it's like
it's at rest now. It's almost not out of your brain, but out of your brain. Like it's not like I'm here. It's like, all right, now you're there. Cool, love it. Right. I love it. Perfect. That's right. I love it. Awesome. I guess a big thing for at the cafe is what we kind of stand on is just love. No matter what love is really expressed and how you want to express it. And like I like how you mentioned what religion looks like to you is different to everyone else. And I really love that and can appreciate that. So what is like in the midst of like the world today, you see so much like wildness out there. Like what is like how do you come back to the center of like love and how do you feel like contribute to the world today?
How I personally contribute to the world today.
The act of love. And what is love? You think that could like work? You answer it. You go.
I'll roll with it. So, love, in from my perspective, is a very high level, like higher than any other level of respect that you can pay to another person. Being able to look at another individual and be like, "Hey, I see you. I hear you. You need." What you tell me you need from me.
For sure.
And it's my job to hear that. It's my job to empathize with that or respond accordingly or, be that like, the pivotal person that helps you, in my eyes, love is just looking at another creature, the earth, and just seeing them for what they are and doing no harm. And if you can, do good and leave that person, place, thing, what have you, in a better state than they were before they had that moment of meeting you.
Like your mama said, just like put it back better than you got it. Right?
Exactly.
Put it back better than you found it. Exactly. I love that.
Sorry, I was writing to hear, to see what other. Sorry, my handwriting is atrocious.
No, you're
good. To hear / to see, basically. A lot of the times we'll hear the words, kind of like regurgitate, essentially like, surface level, but understanding the underneath the surface, what is being said. If a person is crying, are they truly sad or are they mad? Like there's a lot of emotion that can be like understood when you truly give that person that moment to speak and let themselves like have a stage. Because even the words that they're saying might trigger you differently because we understand things differently. Different phases in your life, different understandings of the world, different takes when you hear certain words. So if someone says something, it might trigger you to have an emotional reaction or say something out of your lens, but that might not necessarily be their truth under all. Right. And there's a lot of layers to it, like an onion. And it's very complicated, but just to hear or to see it, it's a very deep concept that like I just felt like it needed a bigger segment for sure.
I definitely agree. When we actually like see something and understand it, I feel like that's what I feel like a lot of our being is to I love that, but I got to know everything about it before I can love that. Right. There's an understanding, like I understand that you may not know about everything, you may not understand it fully, but just showing it love and respect at the basic, simplest form. I think that's another aspect of love that can be shown more instead of just being like, I don't really vibe with you. You're not part of my circle. You don't have anything to do with me. I'm just going to go, you know what I mean? And so being able to, I guess, relate with that is really important in a way.
Yeah. And I know I'm extra sometimes. I walk around spreading love like glitter. It's like...
That's good, though.
Right?
There's nothing wrong with that.
Because I know for a fact, at least, half the people I spread that glitter to, they're going to spread it to somebody else. And you 100%. Know what? Ain't nobody mad at glitter.
Right, exactly. Reminds me of a podcast I was listening to. It was like, you are the suicide prevention hotline. Right? Yes. It's like that's so deep. Like you passing the other person on the street and being able to smile at them or just wave. Right? Like that could be the suicide hotline for an individual. Exactly. Or just simply seeing them. Yes. Being present. Oh. That's something that I try to focus on every day, especially when I'm serving coffee. Like I am suicide hotline. Like how can I impact this person today? And it shows. Yeah. Well, thank you. Like everybody I've sent through your doors, like seriously, comments on just your character and the way you make everybody feel welcome. Oh, well, thank you. It's awesome, we try. We try to cultivate an atmosphere that makes sense, right? I love it. Well, do you have any closing questions for us? Do you have anything that you're like really dying to ask Emma and Tyler? Oh.
Can I always get espresso in my chai tea? Because this is awesome.
Yes, it's a dirty chai and you can get it any time. Yes, it's really good.
So what is the title of this podcast?
It's called Sips of Eden.
Sips of Eden.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And how many episodes have you guys done?
So this would be our second one.
Yeah.
You're the first one of 2024. And so we're trying to be more intentional about doing 2 a month is our goal.
Good. I didn't even have to throw up on you.
No, exactly. No.
Good girl.
Yes.
That's growth.
That's growth.
For all of us.
Yes.
And it's like, rest assured, I won't ask you to take your pants off after I walk out of the room either.
Right?
So there.
Perfect.
Oh my gosh, the sun fell.
We got it.
Oh gosh. No, I'm sorry, I don't have better questions.
Oh, no, you're good. That's really...
It's just conversation.
That's really all we came to. So I guess for people listening out there, how can they get in contact with you to schedule the next appointment with you?
Well, I have an online booking platform at www.agilebodywork.com.
Perfect.
Yeah.
As well as my number is 616-264-1533. I'm conveniently located on the corner of 6th and Front at 678 Front Avenue Northwest. It's Suite 400 by appointment only.
Don't just show up. Don't
show up, right? You're right. You might get the boot. So. I may not look very strong, but I'll put a foot in your backside.
Perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
That's good. Awesome. Well, thank you for being with us today. I'm so happy that you're able to make it with us.
Yeah.